I must confess, I haven't researched that one.
We've talked a lot about what we can do to make a better atmosphere at the church. But what would people who are struggling with their faith give to us as advice? David Ostler reads a couple of letters that he's received from people who are struggling with their faith and the advice they have for us. Check out our conversation.
One thing I did gain an awareness of, I was a gospel doctrine teacher in southern India when we lived there. I was a mission president in West Africa. I've lived in London. I realized how complex it must be to administer a global church. Mm-hmm. And all of the unique issues that come up. And I have great sympathy for our general and local leaders that are trying to navigate ways through. And I've seen flexibility. For example, I believe in Hong Kong, they have a ward that's almost entirely composed of domestic women that meets on a weekday. I'm not sure what day it is, but they do that because they have to work weekends.
You're talking about in China?
I think it's in Hong Kong, China.
Yeah.
Hong Kong, China, same thing.
I've heard they have church every single day of the week so that people can come on their day off, whichever day of the week it is.
So, I see that kind of local adaptation, and I don't think that'll happen in America, but I can understand the context there, and I can understand how they found a need that was unmet. And found a way to meet it within kind of the right structure of the church. So you take that and you multiply it between Indonesia and Nepal and Sierra Leone and Germany and Guatemala and the islands of the sea, and it gets pretty complex to do this, and yet the church is a single institution with single set of policies that are able to be adapted in some cases locally. So I have great compassion on that. We say the church is the same everywhere, but that gospel doctrine class I taught in Chennai was not the same as the gospel doctrine class that sometimes you express frustration with in your ward.
Exactly.
Very, very different.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all right. Well, we've kept you a long time. Is there anything that we've missed here that you think we should cover before I let you go?
Can I read just one more story?
Sure, absolutely.
So this is a guy named Mike, and I put it at the end of my book. I introduced him in the first chapter, but I put him in the end of the book because he wrote me a follow-up email about 6 months after I first interviewed him. And I told him I was just about to conclude the book, and when he gave me this, I threw away the conclusion and rewrote it to include his story. So he's in a faith crisis, unsure whether he'll stay in the church. It's hard for him to participate. And he feels still alone and isolated, even though he's been in this particular state for more than 2 years, I believe. And he said, and he just gives us advice on what to do. And he's thought about it because he's felt it. And he said, when I was in the dark night of the soul, there are a few things that could have really helped me. I needed someone to just listen, and then after listening, let me know and help me really believe that they trusted me and loved me no matter what conclusion I came to. I need someone to show me that it was love that was the strongest and largest cord that bound us together, not our common belief in the church. I needed someone to not only listen, but to encourage me to seek answers and to say, great, I don't know where that journey will take you, and it's your own journey, but whatever conclusion you come to, I will absolutely respect you. And if you want someone to walk with you for a while on your journey, call me. I'm there for you. I need someone to let me know that they have never experienced what I'm experiencing, so they won't pass judgment. I needed to feel from people, not just hear words, that they trusted me and viewed me as a worthy, intelligent, and spiritually sensitive human being. I needed a different space after sacrament meeting to be nourished spiritually, and if that wasn't available, I needed an invitation to leave during the rest of the church block to seek spiritual nourishment elsewhere. And then in parentheses, I still need this. I needed someone to ask me, what would you like to do in the ward that will help you thrive here? For me, that would have been teaching. I love to teach, but I became an unsafe person, and so I haven't taught since coming out. I used to teach and speak frequently, I also needed someone to listen and then push back a little. I needed someone with whom I could engage in healthy confrontations. This is this faithful place I was talking about. Because after resolution of these confrontations, relationships can blossom. So that's what he needed. And then this other woman, after I got this note from him, I said, I wonder what Amanda's up to. And so I sent the same note to her, and she said something very different. I doubt she'll come back. This guy may stay. I don't know. But she said something that was very meaningful to me because in all of her journey around spirituality, no one reached out and asked her what was going on. She just kind of disappeared from church. And she said, it's hard to express how important it's been to be heard by you and others like you who hold space in your hearts for uncomfortable realities and dissonant experiences and sorrows not your own. There are truths that have grown in prominence in my heart, and among them, those are empathy, peace with uncertainty, vulnerability, connection, courage, and love. Always love. So, that's what she needed. And I would hope that, we're dogmatic, that we're the only true and living church, but I would hope that dogmatism about wanting to be orthodox and have boundaries of belief don't get in the way from truly ministering to people like Mike, who wants to stay, can't find a way to stay sometimes, and Amanda, who left but wanted to feel love and kind of connection in a way that she didn't feel that she could have. And so that's, to me, kind of the purpose of the book, is opening our hearts to people like them and using them as examples of anyone who's not like us in belief, behavior, background, race, gender, orientation, economics, politics, on and on and on and on, mental health, marriage status, education, all, that we can look at people who have those differences and just find better ways to understand their experience and minister to them, as we mutually try and find purpose and meaning in our lives.
Yeah. Well, and it just brought up a couple of thoughts. I had a couple people come up to me at Sunstone recently and tell me that they loved my podcast, which makes my head feel big, so that's nice. And the one person that I spoke to, I remember he said that he was in the bishopric in 2015, and it's now 2019, and he's resigned his membership. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, and I said to him, and I think this is the spirit that I think I get from your book. Hopefully I can continue to emulate this. And I said, if you're in a better place, I'm happy for you, but I still miss you. Yeah. I still wish that he'd been able to stay, but he felt like he couldn't. And if he's in a better place, then I'm happy for him, and that's what I want. And I think isn't that really what you're trying to say?
Yeah, and my relationship won't be different with you. Mm-hmm. My relationship, if it was a relationship of friendship, would stay the same. If it's a relationship of family, would stay the same. And maybe even increase, because you would know that transition was very hard on him. Mm-hmm. That's a big transition, right? I was a church leader. I was sitting on the stand. My community knew me as that way, and it had to rise to a level of something that caused him to want us to say, no, I can't do that anymore. So that there's pain in that moment, and whether it's a physical or a virtual or a metaphorical arm around them and a hug, I think that's what God would want us to do. Mm-hmm. I think that's what God does. So if we want to be more like our heavenly parents, don't we need to act more like our heavenly parents? So I think that's what I would hope would happen in those kinds of circumstances.
Yeah. Well, everyone, if you don't have his book, go buy it.
So you can buy it at Greg Coford Books. You can buy it on Amazon, and Deseret Book will be selling the book also.
Deseret Book, that's awesome.
So that was something that we just found out yesterday.
That will make it a safe book.
Well, I think it's a credit to them that they want to offer a book like this and that they know that there's a need.
There is a need. So, well, David Ostler, thank you for participating here on Gospel Tangents.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate being on your show.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with David Ostler. David, I'd really like to thank you for coming all the way out here and telling us more about your awesome book. And I encourage everybody, please go out and buy it and give it to your bishop or your stake president or whoever you think it would be useful for. So it's a fantastic book, and I think has a lot of great ideas on how we can make a better church culture. In our next conversation, we're going to talk to Rod Decker. Now, if you're from Utah, you're probably familiar with him from Channel 2 News. But he's written a new book about Utah politics. And so we'll learn more about this book that many consider Republican Party is synonymous with the Mormon Church.
Within Utah, there was a Latter-day Saint party and a non-Mormon party. The Latter-day Saint party always won, almost always won. The non-Mormon party pretty often got their way anyway because the federal government was on their side.
If you'd like to hear the entire interview uncut, please support Gospel Tangents and become a subscriber. For just $5 a month, go to patreon.com/gospeltangents and you can hear the entire interview. And you can also get transcripts available at either our Amazon website, or if you want to give the money to me and not Amazon, please subscribe on my website at gospeltangents.com and you can click the yellow subscribe button. Of course, we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and all the other places. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes at tinyurl.com/gospeltangents. And don't forget to click here to subscribe on YouTube, here for a transcript, and over here we've got some more of our great videos. Thanks again for listening.